Today we're going to talk about everyone's favorite need, an edge rusher. Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary, back with another video, and today I'll be talking about the Jets' desperate need for an edge rusher. Before we get started today, I just wanted to mention that you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. And if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the Just Jets podcast wherever it is that you get your podcast. Really much appreciated. Online security is a must in today's world, and ExpressVPN is here to ensure that your devices are safe. ExpressVPN protects your computer, your phone, whatever device you want from hackers and ad agencies, so no more annoying targeted ads spamming your device. The best part, well, this actually works with Netflix and other streaming services too for your protection. Use the link in the description to get 3 months for free with your subscription. With my code, you can save 49%. And on top of that, get an additional 3 months for absolutely free. Protect yourself when you're surfing the web by using ExpressVPN. Details are down below in the description. Make sure you and your devices are safe. Okay, so we're going to go through some guys who are on the free agent market. This is a free agency preview. Obviously, edge in the draft is something the Jets could do. Obviously, edge on the trade market is something they could do. And no, this doesn't include like Zadarius Smith or Preston Smith, someone who could potentially be cut. This is just guys who are more than likely going to hit the market. So we'll start things off at the top, work our way down, and find some nice value. The top of the line guy, Chandler Jones. Yes, he is 32 years old. No, I do not care about that age because I think he can continue to produce at a high level. He still did last year. 10.5 sacks, 36 pressures, 17 quarterback knockdowns. He's still a Pro Bowl caliber guy. He missed time in 2020, but outside of that, he plays all the time. He was an all-pro level guy in 2019. Edge rushers aren't like running backs or cornerbacks. By the time they hit 30, it's over. They're cooked. We've seen guys play into their 30s at a high level at this position for a longer time. They tend to develop a little bit later for whatever reason. So if the Jets are looking to go all out, what would it take? I don't know, maybe 2 years at $17 million a pop. So 2 years, $34 million, $17 million a year. It's a lot of money for someone that age, but I think he's worth it. He is absolutely someone who should be at the top of everyone's list when looking at the edge rusher position. Next up, coming down a slight step, is Emmanuel Ogbah at 28 years old. He's been someone who's been around the league a little bit at this point in his career, but he's been successful, had 9 sacks this past year, had at least 9 the past 2 years, 39 pressures, 13 quarterback knockdowns, and guess what? You'd be making a divisional opponent weaker. Plays for the Miami Dolphins. It'd be nice to pluck him away potentially and put him on the other side of Carl Lawson. I think you're looking at a very similar deal to what Carl Lawson got, like 3 for $45, $15 million a year. Ogbah's steady, man. The Jets need help at this position, clearly. He's been a steady force over the last few years. Seems like he's just reaching his prime right now. You'd pay him for his age 28 to 930 season. It seems pretty solid to me. Number 3 guy on my list is Harold Landry, just 25 years old. He's on the younger side, so you'd be buying into him getting even better, which would be a really nice thing because he was good last year. He had 12 sacks and a whopping 43 pressures. He's a clean bill of health. He's been one of the more active pass rushers over the last few seasons, and we know how much of an issue health could be for this team going forward. Does it worry me a little bit that he's maybe more of an outside linebacker? I guess slightly, but I think he's someone who can handle being an edge in a 4-3 defense. Similar to Carl Lawson, I think you'd be getting or banking on his upside, which he already had the double-digit sack year. You were kind of hoping that Carl was eventually going to get to that point with the New York Jets because he hadn't already, but you're probably looking at 4 years, $60 million, so over $15 million a year, a little bit of the notch down from like a Chandler Jones kind of guy, but a really good player, someone who is trending upwards and in the right direction. And if the Jets want to bank on youth, well, here's the youngest guy of the bunch. Next on our list here is Hassan Reddick. He's had a lot of success early in his career, and he's still only 27 years old. He's from Camden, New Jersey, local product. New Jersey, come on back home. What do you say? Hassan Reddick, 11 sacks, 33 pressures, 5 quarterback knockdowns. He has 23 and a half sacks since the start of 2020. He transitioned from outside linebacker to edge rusher and did it at a pretty successful level. And again, the Jets just need help at getting after the quarterback. I don't necessarily care if it's like, oh, well, is he really exactly what the Jets need on the edge? Don't care. He's good at getting after the quarterback. 3 years, I don't know, 37 and a half, maybe $12.5 million a year. I think he's going to be in that range. Maybe it gets as high as 15, but I project him as more slightly in the bargain bin, which is, I mean, $12.5 million is nothing to sneeze at, but I think that'd be pretty good value for the Jets here. And he's definitely someone who's on my radar, and I think will be on a lot of teams' radars this year in going into free agency. So the last two guys on my list that I want to talk about today are more bargain bin guys and guys who are on the older side, which is fine, almost like filling the Vinny Curry role that was supposed to be last year. And the first guy is Justin Houston. You're going to say, Matt, isn't he like 50 years old? Well, he's 33, but in a pretty much strictly pass rush role, had 4.5 sacks, 24 pressures, 12 quarterback knockdowns. He can still play. And like I said, think of it as the Vinny Curry role, not necessarily coming in and going to be like, oh, this is your stud, you're going to pay him a ton of money. No, in a rotational spot where you're probably still drafting an edge pretty high, but you want the veteran in there who is a proven pass rusher. I mean, you look at these sack numbers over the last 5 years, 4.5, 8, 11, 9, 9.5. And think about it, the 4.5 was in a much more diminished role. Guy can still play and get after the quarterback with the best of them. The Jets need veteran presence on this team. I understand that youth is important and they have a really young core, but it's okay to add veterans and to supplement your talent through free agency. It doesn't have to be, everyone has to be 25 years or younger. They were the youngest team in the league last year. It's okay to spend a little bit of money on someone who, I don't know, what do you think it would cost? A 1-year deal at $7 million. They gave Jarrad Davis $5.5 million and he stunk. At least Justin Houston give you some value getting after the quarterback. Last guy who makes my list is Jerry Hughes. Similar kind of role, 33 years old now, just 2 sacks and 26 pressures, but he's had over 25 pressures the last 2 years. Similar boat to Justin Houston. Vinny Curry, just pass rush specialist. You're probably getting him a touch cheaper, maybe $5.5, $6 million in that range. He's been a really steady piece for the Buffalo Bills, but over the last few years kind of transitioned into more of just a pass rush specialist kind of role. He's not an every down player anymore, which is fine. The Jets are going to have other guys in the line, and we know that they like to rotate their line around a lot. So this is someone you'd put in there who can pin their ears back and just kind of get after the quarterback on third down. So with that kind of rounds out the list of guys that I'm interested in, or guys that either don't want or just don't think are going to happen. Von Miller, number 1 at the list. I think he stays in LA. I don't think he hits the market. I don't think Von Miller and the Jets are going to be a fit. As good as he is as a player, I'm not saying I don't want him. I just don't necessarily, I don't see it. I'd be stunned if Von Miller is a Jet. Next is Jadeveon Clowney. I also think he stays in Cleveland. Kind of had a bounce back year this past year. Still on the Jadeveon Clowney's a little bit overrated train. He had a good year in Cleveland. I think he should stay there. I don't want to pay him big money. He's been too inconsistent throughout his career. I'm going to pass. Randy Gregory, does he hit the market? I know Dallas wants to keep him, but if they don't and he hits the market, would I sign up for him? No. He's hurt way too much. He does not play nearly enough for me. So I'm going to say pass. And the last guy I'm passing on is Melvin Ingram. I know could also be that veteran guy, but I think he's pretty much done. He originally signed by Pittsburgh, then was asked to be traded. He gets sent to the Kansas City Chiefs. It was okay for them this year, but yeah, the last few guys on this list don't really interest me, or I just don't think happens. Like, I don't see Von Miller, but and I'm not even sold that Jets necessarily spend on edge and free agency. I think you can. And as I've said multiple times for this offseason, there's no one right way or wrong way to do it. You could go out in free agency and spend big money and like not worry about edge in the draft. You can use one of your first 4 picks. You have 4 picks in the top 40. Maybe one of those guys are on edge and you're looking to bring in a depth guy like Jerry Hughes or Justin Houston or something like that. But there's many ways to do it. How do you want the Jets to build the edge room? Because I think everyone agrees that it's still a need for this team. Let me know in the comments below or on social media. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll talk to you next time.